In this next section, we're going to review some admin panel options for content. And so that is this section right here. There's a lot of stuff in this area. I'm just going to pull out a few items that I want to highlight. We'll start with change owner, the first one here. I'm just going to click on this. Now, what you can do in this page is you can actually change the ownership from one person to somebody else for all of the pages they own. Right? So this oftentimes happens when somebody leaves your organization, maybe they move into a different position or they leave the company altogether. Now, all of the content and all of those pages that they still own on the intranet, you want to move them to somebody else so that it doesn't show, user inactive or something like that as the owner. So what I can do here now is, I'm going to fill in the name of the person who's leaving. So I'll pretend that's me. As you start typing, again, it's going to give you a list of all of those people whose name starts with those letters. So I'm going to select my own, and then I'm going to click on Find Content. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to show me all of the items, all of the pages, files, profiles, news posts, everything that this person is currently set as the owner of. On this intranet, there are 57 items that I currently own. Now I'm moving on, going to another company. Now I want to make sure that all of my content is transferred to someone else. Now I can do it in two ways. I could either move over all of these items, all 57, to one other person. Usually what is the case is like, okay, all of the content that I own within the department section needs to go to Natalina, but all the content that I own in the resources section really should not be transferred to Ben. So instead of leaving all of the content checked, I'm going to uncheck this. I'm going to select all of the content under departments, which as you'll notice is only 17 pages, and I'm going to transfer those to Nat. So I will type Natalina in here. Her name pops up. I'm going to select her here and now click on Change Owner. All of those pages are now owned by Nat. Now there's still all of the other content that I need to move to Ben. So I'm going to bring up my own profile again. It should now have 40 pages that I own. There we go. And I'm going to move that to Ben. This is kind of like a shortcut, and obviously you can go into every single page on ThoughtFarmer and manually change the owner by just clicking on the page owner on that page. But this is kind of like a shortcut, like a bulk action where you can easily transfer dozens or hundreds of pages from one person to the next whenever you deal with that kind of turnover. Kind of related, the next one we want to look at is archiving and deleting content. That's conveniently the next up here in the list of content items. So this is really a tool that can help you manage the content on your site and remove any content that is perhaps out of date or stale. So what this report allows you to do is pull up all of those pages or files on the internet that aren't being viewed very regularly, right? So usually we tell people it's a good practice to once every 6 months or once every year, just go through all of your stale content and archive or delete those pages if you can. Now, there might still be pages in here that even though they haven't been viewed in the last 6 or 12 months, they're still helpful and they need to stay on the internet, but at least running this report gives you a bit of a closer audit of, are there any pages that are out of date or that are perhaps duplicate, and can we remove them? So how to use this? In this case, I'm going to say, okay, I want to find all of the pages that haven't been viewed in the last 18 months, right? So show pages viewed fewer than one time in the last 18 months. Now I can hit find stale content right from here to see everything on the entire internet, or I can say, you know what, I'm not going to count myself because I'm the internet manager and I'm just all over the site anyway. So I'm going to ignore any page views from myself, right? I only am interested in what other people are viewing. And then I can either search the entire site or I can scope it down to only maybe the marketing page, right? So this is sometimes helpful to really show results section per section in this report because it's going to give you a lot more focus and scope on the content that you are reviewing. You could even, if you have other users who are administrators, you can even delegate this task and find one person per department so that you don't have to review all of that content yourself. You could also search for keyword if there's very specific pages that you want to archive, or you can leave that blank. So in this case, we can see that we now end up with 20 pages or files or content items on the internet that are considered stale. So they haven't been viewed at least once in the last 18 months. They might have been viewed by myself, but I'm excluding me. So this hasn't been viewed by any other users in the last year and a half. Each of these pages here, before you actually go select them and archive or delete them, you can of course open the link in a new tab to review that content, read over it, just to verify what exactly it is. For each page, it will also give you additional information. Obviously, it will say it hasn't been viewed in the last 18 months. It also will tell you when the page was initially created. So now I can perform some bulk actions. I can actually select all of the content on this page and delete or archive it right from here. That's a very drastic action. From experience, I know that most people like to take a little bit of a closer look, just pull only a few pages together before archiving or deleting them. One other thing that you can do is if you come across a page here that you're thinking, okay, this really should not be considered stale content ever. Maybe it's your company's insurance certificate information or just something that is really, really critical as a piece of content on the internet. If this should never be archived or deleted, even by accident, and you don't want it showing up in the stale content report, you can click on exclude from stale content. And so now it says here, this item is never going to be shown with any other stale content anymore. Now, restoring content is kind of the opposite of what we're doing here. And this is, as an administrator, really handy to know how to do. So this will happen when somebody who's an editor on the internet goes and accidentally deletes a page. As a regular user on the internet, that's not something you can undo. Once a page is deleted, it's deleted. However, from the admin panel, any administrator can recover those pages. So if you go into the content restore, we can see here a list of all pages that have been deleted on the site. And it's a chronological list. So the page that was most recently deleted, this Welcome Isabel one, is at the very top. When this happens, you're likely going to have a very specific individual reach out to you and go, oh my goodness, can you please help me? I just deleted this section that shouldn't have been deleted. Please help me out. Now, the best thing to do to find that page or section is to just apply a filter here on the left-hand side. And you're going to see, okay, the page that was last modified by whom? Who was the person who deleted this page? I'm going to click on Carrie's name, and now it's only showing me deleted pages that have been modified by Carrie. So now I can go and just restore, for example, this leave request page that she has done. What it will do is it will, by default, it's going to just put this page back on the internet. It's going to restore it in the same spot where it was deleted from. If you want to move it at the same time, you can do that too. So I can say, okay, you know what? I actually want to put this page underneath the branches section. It's an option. You don't have to do that. You can just restore it in the same spot. Click on restore, and now it'll give you a message here to say that that page has now been successfully restored. Moving on, I'm just going to take a quick look here at our tags. Tags are used throughout ThoughtFarmer, throughout your ThoughtFarmer site, to make content more findable, to add the ability to filter content. If you want more information on how to tag content, it might be worthwhile just taking a quick peek to our other training videos around adding and managing content, because we talk a little bit about that there. The tags admin page is really where, as an administrator, you can go and take a look at which different tags and tag bundles are available on the site, and you can do some additional managing of that on this page. First things first, you can decide whether or not you want users to be able to create new tags. For us here currently, that is turned off. If I slide the slider over and it becomes blue, now all of my editors or people who have edit permission on pages will be able to add new content tags. If I turn this off, people will still be able to add tags, but they will be forced to choose from a list of tags that is predefined on this tags admin page. We consider two different types of tags in ThoughtFarmer. There's content tags, which are tags that are added onto any type of page that's not a profile page. And then our profile field tags obviously are they're tags that appear in different specific fields that are part of users' profiles, right? So those are those two different types of tags. Content bundles, if we look at those, this is really where you're able to set up tag categories, is a good way to think about it. So we have, for example, a content bundle that's called languages, and we can see that in that specific tag category or tag bundle, we have a bunch of different tags that people can choose from. This really gives you an option, if you use tags quite heavily, to kind of bundle them and organize them together. Again, if you've chosen this option where editors are not allowed to create new content tags, when they add a tag to a page, they will be presented with different bundles that they can choose from. If I wanted to, for example, add some more tags into the languages bundle, I can click on this guy right here, the ellipses at the end, and I can click on Manage Bundle. This is going to give me an overview of all of the different tags that are in here now. Under each tag, it also shows you a numeric value that indicates how many times this tag has been used, right? And if I click on it, then it's going to show me again a list of all of the pages that are using that tag. Now, if I wanted to add another language tag, I'm just going to click on here, add tag, and I'll add Dutch, and just click that check mark, and now it's added, right? So it can be used right away. Obviously, it doesn't have a number because this is a brand new one, it's not being used yet. Now, one other thing that you can do here, and again, it's kind of like a spring cleaning feature for administrators, is you can take a look at all of the tags that are being used throughout the site. And sometimes you might run into a situation where there's actually one right here where you have duplicate tags. Or you could have a tag that's called employees starting with a lowercase e and one that's employees starting with an uppercase e. Now, at some point in time, and especially if there's a lot of, if there's 3 or 4 different tags that are actually signifying one keyword, one with a capital, one with a lowercase, one that has a typo in it, you're able to easily kind of like merge those all together here. For this one here, let's take an example, and we're going to pretend that event and event budget should be one tag. What we want to do in that case, select all of the tags that you want to bundle, scroll back up, and then we're going to click here on Merge Tags. This is going to show you all of the tags you've selected, and you kind of have to choose a master tag. So which one do you want, what label do you want for this tag, those different tags that you're putting together? So let's choose event. It tells me you're about to merge 2 tags into event. That's fine. I'm going to click on save, and now you can see a success message here. So now all pages that were tagged with event budget before are now going to have that clean new combined event tag. So this is a really powerful feature. If a tag belongs to a tag bundle, you will see that here in the last column, right? So for all of these, for example, I can see that all of these year tags are a part of the year of publication bundle. If you wanted to have some of these added to a specific tag bundle, again, you can select it here, click on add to bundle. It's going to show you all of those tag categories or bundles that you've set up, and then you can select one right from here to add it to that bundle. That's it for tags. So let's go back to the admin panel and quickly take a look at our terms and conditions. Terms and conditions it's another page that is part of our content bundle here. It sits right here. And this provides you with an option to have people sign off on certain terms and conditions that you want to put in place for your intranet. In this case, it's empty, but this is a rich text editor. So if you have a specific intranet policy, or you're working on a document that just gives people some policies and guidelines and even code of conduct guidance for the intranet, you can put that all here in this rich text editor. Once you are done and have agreed on the content that comes in here, if you want to use this, you're going to slide this slider here to on. When this is enabled, the next time people log in, or the first time they log in after you have enabled this, it's going to show them this message that you have identified here in terms and conditions, and it's going to ask them to agree or not agree on those terms. If we scroll down here, you can see that you can put in 2 different URLs, right? If somebody doesn't agree with the terms and condition and they click on disagree, which website or which URL do you want to refer them to? On the contrary, if they accept and they're like, yes, I accept these terms, by default, it will go to the intranet homepage. But if there's any other page on the intranet that you would like to show them upon agreeing on the terms and conditions, you can put that URL in here as well. So you do have that option. By default, this will be disabled, but if it is something you want to use, you can go and enable it at any time. Lastly, and this is something that is also good to know, you're also able to reset this term and conditions page at any point in time. Once you click on reset, it's just going to force everyone to agree to those terms and conditions again the next time they log in. It's not something you want to abuse too often. But for example, if you're making an important update to your internet guidelines and policies, this is something that you may want to do after updating the copy in this rich text editor. Just reset it so that people will see it again the next time they log in. We're going to move on to following. So following pages, as we've seen in some of the previous training videos, is really all about notifications and how do you keep up to date on different types of content. You can follow certain pages manually to get alerts on them. Some of the content you're going to be automatically following. For example, think about being added to a group page. Now, the manage following option that we have here available in the admin panel allows you to quickly add and remove followers for specific pages on the internet. So if I wanted to come in here and let's say there's an important news feed on my internet that I really would like high visibility on, right? You know, maybe an employee events news feed or an HR news feed. Let's find something like that. So I'm going to type HR news in here. It's going to bring up my news feed. So I'm going to select that. It's going to show me right now all of the followers of this page. Currently, there's only one person following it. But if there were 20 or 30 people, they would just be displayed here in a list. So I can select everyone or just one individual in particular. In this case, that's the same, and remove them all at once. I can also add followers, of course. So in this case, I'm going to click on add followers. And then it gives you an option to add all users as well. So if this is a high importance item and you want everybody to receive notifications whenever something new is posted in the HR newsfeed, you could easily click on add all users. It gives you the number of people and then click on add. And then what it's going to do here now in the back end, it's going to take all of the users on our internet and add them all as a follower to this very important news feed. You can come back here and do this as many times as you need to. But in the future, if we have, for example, a new staff member onboarding, we can go and make sure that we go back into this page, make sure that they are added as well as a follower here for this HR news feed so that they will get all of those great HR updates. So that's just a small administrator option, but a very powerful one. Lastly, under content here, just a closer look at calendars. Calendars, as you know, are one of our 9 content types in ThoughtFarmer, right? And there's a lot of settings that you can access as just a regular content editor when you're creating a calendar page. But on a higher level as an administrator, there's a few things that you can decide on here in the calendar page. One thing to do, and it seems like a minor option, but for a lot of people this makes quite a big difference, is okay, which day of the week do you want your calendars to start? Most people kind of navigate between Sunday and Monday here. So that's the first setting you can do here. The next one here is really all about the event types, right? Which types of events can people select when they create a new calendar or when they're adding events to a calendar? Now you will see on this particular site, we have a few event types already in place. If there's certain ones that currently are on the list but are not being used, they will show up here in the list, but they will have a red dot next to them. For example, travel is one that we have here available in the admin panel, but it's not currently being used or being made available on calendars throughout the site. If you wanted to change that, just click on show. And then it's going to, from now on, whenever somebody creates a calendar, this is going to be an event type they can select. If you want the travel event type to be a default type of event on every new calendar that people create, just check this checkbox right here. If you don't mark an event as default, but you're still showing it, that means that people, when they create a calendar, they can still go and edit the event types, and this option, this birthday option, will show up, but it won't be a default event type on that calendar. It's just an extra step. You can of course also remove any of these event types that don't apply to your organization, and you can even add additional ones. So I can click on add here. The first thing you do is you choose an icon. There's a number of icons available here in the system. Note that the ones that are grayed out here, it just means that they're already in use for another event type, but you can reuse them if you want to. It looks like they're not available, but they are. So in this case, let's select the globe icon, and I'm going to call this one conference. Now, you see that the default color that was assigned here to this event type, that's the color that's going to be used when I'm looking at a calendar that has this type of event. The event will be coded gray. I'm not a huge fan of gray, so I want to change this. You just actually click on the color and it brings up this neat color picker that I can now drag to whatever color I like. So you can play around with this, get some blue going, and then just click outside of the window, and that is going to save that color. Remember, whenever you make any changes in the calendar page, scroll down and click on save, just to make sure that whatever you're doing here is saved and now available in the calendars.